to give you guys an idea of how bad it starts with. You can see the curb rash pretty much on every outer edge. Just a cheap angle grinder, whatever you want to call it, from Harbor Freight, with a 220 disc on the back. Here we go. Helps if you turn the compressor on. Alright, so I got tired of taking my time. Went straight to the 80. Let her eat. So, after you've gotten up all the rash with that 80 grit, or 220 or whatever you started with, the plan is you have to go back through and undo the scrapes you've done. So what I use is the standard old 220 on the trusty Harbor Freight. Let's see what it does. Alright, loud noises shall commence. By the way, fellas, if you don't have a good air compressor, because I don't, recommend one, please. Now, after your Harbor Freight air compressor takes 45 minutes to air back up, we have completed the 220 to cover up our 180 cuts that we did. And it looks a little rough at first. You got to give it some dig, but we're going to hit it with I think 400 grit next, and every time we'll get a little closer to what it looked like when it came from the factory. So, let's see what we can do here. And here we go. If you notice, every time I make a cut, I feel for imperfections and looking for imperfections. You'll see chips, you'll see all sorts of stuff in these. Even some of these wheels from the factory come out looking like garbage before you do this. So apparently, I'm out of 600 grit. So we're going to do 2 cuts of 1,000. See if that does the trick. I think it will, but you know, sometimes it's a bit of a gamble. And sorry for the dog barking in the background. The new one wants to play fetch again. Here we go. Round one. Round two. Now, for the next couple steps, it gets a little messy. That's a Windex bottle filled with soap and water. Just your basic lubricant. Get your mind out of the gutter, fellas. Not that kind of lubricant. What it does do is polish nicely. So what we're going to do is hit the next couple rounds in a 1500 and then maybe a 2000 grit. But first, we got to degrease again. Also gives you the chance to see where you need to cut a little more. In my case, I'm kind of lazy, so I'm just gonna hope that I'm better off. So hang tight, let me grab some towels. If you notice, there's some corrosion on the barrel that I'm going to leave for the final step because I'm kind of familiar with this whole process. It'll come right up, just a little tickle. You'd be surprised just what the degreaser would do. Put the wheel right back on the car now. I remember doing a Porsche 911 one time. The guy was just surprised after the grease and brake dust were gone. Okay. Let's go our first round of polish grit. I'm so unprepared for this. Here's 1500 grit on the trusty Harbor Freight polisher. A little bit of air pressure. And soapy water. Here we go. Clean cloth. All right. Up next is the 2000 grit, which is where things start to get a little more interesting. It's when the polish starts to come out, and then you rely on the polishing compound after. So, same as before with the 1500 grit. Plenty of lube. A lesson for life, boys. A lesson for life. Always make sure there's plenty of lube. A little bit of air, 2000 grit. Down she goes. For the next step, fellas, we're using some white diamond. It's done really good for me in the past. I've put it on this disc here, and just touch almost everything I can. Sorry for the dog barking. Hey, stop. That should save us a couple seconds. Right back on the old Harbor Freight grinder. A little more shake. What I do is just a couple squirts. Some air pressure. And a hand to cover it because it will go everywhere. Now, the final and most important step is one more: degreasing and a good wipe down. Now remember, the more time you take doing it correctly, which I kind of half-assed it, don't get me wrong here. But I've done some pretty crazy wheels over the years. To set on a McLaren, a Ferrari, Maserati, Porsches. It's always not about being perfect. Just better than it was. Not the best one I've done, but it will do just fine. Get you guys in here so you can see. A little more rash. A little more glitter in the pitter, so to speak. Definitely not perfect, but better than it was. Put you guys back up where you belong. Final step is another fresh towel. I'm currently on the Meguiar's Quick Detailer because it was on sale. And there is the finished product. Now, is it perfect? Definitely not. Could it be better? Oh, for sure. But I spent $0. This is just stuff I had in my garage already on a set of old crappy wheels that came with the car that I didn't care for. I've upgraded, and these are going to go on Facebook Marketplace. So if anyone's interested, 5x114.3s. They are stagger setup. This would be the fronts at 18 by 8.5, ET30. And I have the matching rears that are 18 by 9.5 on ET35. These are not a bad looking wheel. Once they got cleaned up, they just, on the car, did not look great to me. So, here, they look done. If you want to see more of this kind of nonsense, subscribe, like, whatever the saying goes. This week we'll be doing some other crazy things now that I have a semi-normal work schedule. And have a good night.